What's up guys, how's it going, and welcome to the Minute channel. Today we're gonna be doing a discussion video. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, talking kind of a topic that I was thinking for the last few days, since I saw the announcement of the Persona 5X game that I'm pretty sure all of you know about, but if you don't, the P5X is basically a mobile game created by a Chinese company that's working on partnership with Atlas. Doing this mobile game originally now in China. It's going to be coming out pretty soon, and there's probably a chance of a possibility that it comes out later on in the rest of the world. But today we're going to talk about kind of this paradox, something that is happening in the Atlas world with Persona 5 particularly, that really catches my interest, and I want to hear everyone's opinion in the comments down below. And so when Persona 5 came out originally in 2016, there was a lot of hype behind it by obviously the fans. You know, there's a group of people that were looking forward to, but I don't think Atlas and Persona fans estimated how big of an impact Persona 5 was gonna have compared to the previous games, Persona 3 and Persona 4, which did modestly pretty well. They didn't do as good as Persona 5 did originally, and Persona 5 really was a game that took everyone by surprise when it comes to the game itself, or a lot of the subsequent very big announcements like Joker being Super Smash and all these collaborations that they've done with different games, all the way up to the point now that we're talking about the release of Persona 5 Royal on Steam, Switch, Xbox, all this stuff that has been going on that really has helped the popularity of Persona kind of really grow exponentially, more than I think a lot of people anticipated. Well, back in 2016, with the success of this, Atlas really wanted to take that, aligning the bottle, kind of do more with that stuff. And originally that spawned into two spin-offs, which we already know about, Persona 5 Dancing, which came out in 2018, and another game called Persona Q2, which also came out in 2018. So with these two games, Atlas just wanted to get the ball rolling. You know, Persona's getting popular, we need more games out. So obviously Atlas started just releasing games in a really quick manner, because the very next year Persona 5 Royal came out in Japan, and subsequently we have Persona 5 Strikers and all these other spin-off mobile announcements that we heard lately, as well as ports and that kind of stuff. But there's something interesting happening when it comes to the Persona 5 spin-offs, because they all are different from the previous spin-off things that we've seen in the Persona series before. As you see, previously Persona spin-offs typically will in somehow matter connect to the original storyline, whether it's becoming a sequel or whether it's becoming something that kind of builds up on the characters more, something of that nature. For example, Persona 4 Arena and Ultimax are really good examples of this, or even Persona 4 Dancing, because they're actually considered canon sequels to Persona 5. They continue the storyline, there is more like what happened after the original game. You see the characters either in the summer or during Golden Week doing new stuff and everything. So these games actually aim to kind of build up more on the lore or the characters of Persona 3 and Persona 5 in a Persona 4 in a pretty cool manner. Even Persona Q kind of does do that kind of stuff. But something really interesting happening with the spin-offs on Persona 5 is that although you can see Persona 5 Strikers as some sort of sequel to the original Persona 5 game, I personally think of it that way. Every Persona game, whether it's Persona the Dancing game or Persona Q2 or even Persona 5 Royal, which is not a spin-off, which is more of a enhanced edition of the original Persona 5 game, or the newly announced Persona 5X. All of them build up from the original Persona 5. Other than Persona 5 Strikers having some kind of semblance of a sequel, the spin-offs Persona 5 Dancing, Persona Q2, and Persona 5X don't really seem to connect to Persona 5 Strikers in any way, not really building some kind of sequel feeling. They just feel like really different isolated games really like through spin-offs where there's no really true connection between all the games, building some sort of storyline. It's a really interesting way to convey storyline, because again, Persona in the past has built, even when it's a little spin-off like a dancing game, they have tried to somehow build up into the world of Persona 5 in a really connected, cohesive manner. That really hasn't been the case in Persona 5 so far, although again we do have this Persona 5 Strikers sequel. It doesn't really connect to Persona 5 Royal, and then you have Persona 5 X, and then Persona 5 Dancing and Persona Q2 that again don't really in those games they typically are just like, okay, they had this adventure but they forgot about it because of X reason. It's typically the cop out of like, we don't really want to build up some kind of storyline that ties into the main storyline, so it just kind of like they just forgot about it. That's typically the excuse that Atlus uses in these kind of sequels or spin-off games, and they don't really connect or add really anything into it. They just kind of fun games. The Persona 5 Dancing being the worst example of this, being that there's practically no story in this one. It's basically just a dancing game with some kind of excuse of some sort of tournament for dancing, which you don't really actually see the tournament. It's just kind of one of those interesting aspects of the game. Overall, I just want to say this is a really interesting paradox, because I see a lot of people trying to build some kind of canon timeline for all of these things together, trying to find some excuse where the games happen when are connected. The fandom itself always has focused on trying to keep some kind of timeline together for these games, even though sometimes it's pretty nonsensical. Even Persona 4 and the spin-off games, whether it's Persona Q or the dancing game or the fighting games, although there are some kind of connection and they do feel more cohesive in that sense, they're still nonsensical in the sense that they don't really feel like true sequels to games. But they're definitely something that builds up more on the storyline, and fans always like to kind of be able to connect all of these things together to make sense of kind of like canon timeline, kind of know what's going on in the world and everything. But it's really interesting that Atlus doesn't seem to have any intention of doing that. Again, typically it seems that they used to before. Now I really wonder what happened that made them kind of shift from have individual spin-offs that don't really add into anything into the main line storyline or anything like that. My guess is just that this is a very easy way to release more spin-offs that don't really connect to anything but are kind of connected to Persona 5, the original game. That way most people at least have played Persona 5 and it's not required to play Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Strikers, which at least you have played the base game, you kind of have a semblance of an idea of what that is. And even if you don't play Persona 5 Vanilla but you play Persona 5 Royal, you still kind of get that experience of Persona 5 Strikers, the dancing games, the Q game, the mobile game. You at least have a semblance of the storyline and you kind of know where to go from there. My guess is that this is a easy solution for them to be able to release more of these kind of games that are not really connected to each other. Do I like it? No, I don't. I think it's a very lazy way to release content, especially for a very passionate community like the Persona community, where again there's always a lot of work when it comes to like the canon or research of individuals do on YouTube, and it's kind of interesting to see that dynamic between how Atlus used to do these kind of projects and how they're doing it now. It does feel a little more catch grabby, that there is a more attention to, hey, the series is doing good, we need to release more games because we want to make more money kind of thing. At least that's how I feel like to me. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this, guys. I want to hear your comments down below. Let me know how you feel about all this. But thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye. But before we end this video, I want to thank all the members: Miko, Another Fox, Demicro, H2DK, King Narukami 45, Ethan McNeil, and Rising Oilblin. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. I couldn't make these videos without your help.